Hey guys, so Joe Biden has now been elected the 46th president of the United States. He is now the president-elect of the United States of America, and I'll be covering, all of that in just a few moments here. Before we get into that, make sure you join my Discord server if you have not. The link is at the very top of the description below. We're going to be updating making updates for the election, much more frequently on the Discord. So make sure you join that if you have not. So basically, this was our 2020 electoral map. We have all of the, states that were going to go to Donald Trump or Joe Biden no matter what. Biden was, of course, able to pick up victories in the Maine at-large vote, as well as in Minnesota, Colorado, New Mexico, and New Hampshire, as well as Virginia. So these states, they all went to the former vice president. They were all, expected to go to him, and Joe Biden increased the margin compared to Hillary Clinton, all of these states. And then the second district of Nebraska, Joe Biden was able to flip. Donald Trump flips the second district of Maine. Iowa, Ohio, they will all go to Donald Trump. I definitely underestimated Trump's support here. Biden did not get close at all. I mean, Ohio is basically the same margin as 2016. Texas goes to Trump. Florida as well. That was apparent pretty early on, and that was not a good sign for the Biden campaign. The things really were not looking too great for them, as of course we did have that red mirage that we were talking about, but it's funny how we were all talking about it, but, once it actually occurred, everybody was so surprised. Second district is not a flip, but Joe Biden was able to come back and flip these states of Wisconsin, Michigan, as well as the state of Arizona, according to many news sources like the Associated Press, as well as Fox News. Some of them haven't called it, basically every single news source has different maps as of right now. They're all pretty divided on the issue. Some have Pennsylvania, or basically all of them have Pennsylvania called for Joe Biden, but some have Nevada called, some don't, some have Arizona called, and some don't. But Pennsylvania will now go to Joe Biden. That puts him over 270 without the state of Arizona. So most of the news sources, this is their current electoral map, 273 to 217. But Joe Biden will win the state of Arizona, in my opinion, as well as hold on to the state of Nevada and flip the state of Georgia, putting him up at 306 electoral votes. I think he does have a chance in North Carolina. We don't know how many mail-in ballots are still expected to come in. So I think that Joe Biden can definitely still win North Carolina, but right now it's looking much more likely for the current president of the United States. So taking a look at the New York Times map right here, as you can see, Wisconsin was a 0.6% margin. The state of Michigan is actually a 2.6% margin in Michigan. He was able to flip, the major counties he was able to flip was Kent County, where Grand Rapids is located, a county that voted for Donald Trump pretty heavily in 2016. Detroit also stronger for Joe Biden than it was for Hillary Clinton. Oakland County as well, and then Genesee County, Joe Biden, got better numbers than Clinton there as well. Although Michigan, it was not the strong lean victory that I had projected. It was still a lean victory. Wisconsin and Pennsylvania definitely not going to be leans. They're going to be tilt states, definitely closer than I had expected. Pennsylvania now in favor of Donald or Joe Biden by 0.5%. He was able to flip Erie County, which is the bellwether county here. Trump of course visited here and said that, he didn't want to be there. So I don't think that really rubbed off too well with, the people here in Erie, but still votes left in Philadelphia County, as well as in the Pittsburgh area. So this is the state of Pennsylvania right now. Nevada, the New York Times has called for the former vice president. This will be a hold from 2016, and right now Joe Biden has won every single state that Hillary Clinton has won in 2016. And like I've been saying this entire election cycle, it's all about Biden winning those Clinton states and flipping back the blue wall. He has been able to rebuild the blue wall. It's not exactly the most solid wall, but it is still, he's been able to rebuild it. I think that in the future, Democrats are not going to be able to rely on these three states for victories. Michigan maybe for a little bit longer, but I think that they're definitely going to have to move their prospects to the South. I think North Carolina and Georgia will be two of the most contentious races in the 2024 election, no matter who runs. And I think that right now Donald Trump is probably going to run, again in 2024. However, I don't think it will be against Joe Biden. I think that Joe Biden will become a one-term president. So I really do not expect Joe Biden to run for another term, just because, he is the oldest president and he'll be, 82, 83 by the time he runs for re-election. So I don't think that would be the greatest idea. Joe Biden is going to win the popular vote by over 4 million votes. We still have, quite a few votes from California, which is going to boost Joe Biden pretty heavily in terms of the popular vote. Alaska hasn't been called yet, but 56% reporting it's going to go to Donald Trump. There's no way it goes to Biden. It's been a solid Trump state. I think that it might be a solid margin, but we'll see. South Carolina right now, definitely not a solid margin. Stronger than I expected, but still, it was a likely margin. Like I had said, the states of Kansas and Missouri, these states were unsurprisingly solid for President Trump. I mean, they were 15% margins, so really could have gone either way. The state of Indiana was definitely more solid than I expected, almost 17%. And then the state of Montana was also a solid margin, which I found to be pretty surprising, but these states were barely solid margins. So, Mississippi, Alabama, these were some pretty strong margins for Donald Trump, unlike most of us. Still, not improvements from 2016, but still stronger than I think most of us had expected originally. Wyoming still 70% for Donald Trump. And then taking a look at the state of Arizona, Joe Biden's up by a margin of 0.6%. It is getting closer. It's been getting close for quite a while. Now we can actually see the state of Arizona getting close. We can actually see all the states getting close. I mean, Pennsylvania was in favor of Donald Trump for such a long time. And originally when, 95% of the votes were in, that's when Joe Biden took the lead in the state of Pennsylvania. And that's the margins you can see. It took a very, very long time for Joe Biden to overtake Donald Trump here. The state of Georgia, same thing. It took a really long time. Joe Biden is up by 7,248 votes, which I think is enough for Joe Biden to win. There's definitely going to be recount. They have already announced that. However, is it really going to change anything with 7,200 votes in favor of Joe Biden? No, it's not going to change anything. Georgia is probably going to go to Joe Biden unless, they find, some actual evidence of Joe Biden committing fraud. And like I said, unless Joe Biden has actually committed fraud, there is no way this election is going to be overturned by the courts. So I am confident in the fact that Joe Biden is going to win. The state of Arizona is getting closer and closer. However, we'll see how the numbers change. I think, right now, Donald Trump is not on track to winning the state of Arizona. He is expected to decrease the margin there, but he's definitely not on track to actually winning the state of Arizona. The state of Nevada we saw get closer as, around 90% of results were reporting 88%. However, Joe Biden is now increasing his lead there. He now leads by 2%. I think that is going to increase a little bit more, so it'll be the lead margin like I had said. North Carolina, as you can see, the opposite story here. Joe Biden's numbers decreasing there. I think Biden still has a little bit of a chance, but we'll see. But in the state of Georgia, why I'm so confident in a Biden victory is because the military ballots, they're skewing very heavily in favor of Joe Biden, which is something that you typically would not expect. Republicans typically do better among those in the military. However, Trump's comments on the military definitely have not helped them. So Joe Biden is expected to win the state of Georgia. We have basically all of these counties reporting basically all the results. It's really just provincial and overseas military ballots that are not counted, but we will have to wait a very long time for a projection out of Georgia just because it is so close. The state of North Carolina as well will have to wait a while because they're accepting mail-in ballots until November 12th. So, and the race is so close. So, other states are also accepting mail-in ballots, but they've been called because they're just going to be so solid for, either one candidate. But North Carolina, we will really have to wait. The makeup of those mail-in ballots are definitely going to be very, very important. The state of Arizona, as I said before, Maricopa County is probably going to go to Joe Biden. 98% of results in Joe Biden, 50.2%. He is probably not going to cross 50% on the state level, but we'll see. We saw 5% from Pima County, and, the numbers can definitely still increase for the former vice president. In the state of Nevada, Joe Biden is probably going to hit that 50% threshold, not threshold, but he's probably going to hit 50%. He said 49.9, Trump 47.9, and then Clark County where Las Vegas is located. So 10%, that's going to skew for Joe Biden, in favor of the former vice president and now the president-elect of the United States. He is definitely going to provide a much more unifying message than that of Donald Trump in the past 4 years. And I think that, the world does seem to be very happy about this because Donald Trump really doesn't have too much of a base, worldwide, along with, aside from some countries. So yeah, we'll see. With Show County, we have 3% left to report. So this has definitely not been the best scenario Joe Biden was hoping for, or what Democrats were hoping for in this election. However, in the end, they were able to pick up the presidency. And the reason why I think that Donald Trump, all of Trump's fraud claims, they're absolutely untrue. Because if you take a look at the House results, the Republicans were able to pick up seats, a net 5 gain, although that's very minimal. Democrats were expected to actually pick up seats in this election. They're only 3 seats away from control, and they're going to reach that. They did win the popular vote again, but still 4 million less than what Joe Biden received. So all the House candidates, they were able to outperform Donald Trump. So if Republicans were able to win and Trump isn't, that's just, Trump's problem. It's not a problem with, the, vote fraud or anything like that. So I don't think that is really going to be an issue. Joe Biden expected to win the popular vote by, maybe even over 3%, but we'll see. Right now it's 2.8% as of right now. That's still an increase from 2016, but definitely, not what the polls told us, not that 8%, 7% margin on the popular vote level, but we'll see. And now, as a refresh, we do have the results out of Maine, second district of Nebraska, and, also Maine and Nebraska. Second district of Nebraska was a flip. Second district of Maine will hold for the president by a margin of 6.6%. I think that was definitely something that I did not account for. I thought Maine's second district would flip. I thought that Susan Collins would lose her election. Basically everybody did, but it seems as if Susan Collins has been able to win re-election. These Senate results I will talk about very soon because these are going to be very, very consequential. The Senate will not be called if the Republicans win North Carolina, where Tom Tillis is beating Cal Cunningham by a margin of 1.8%, which is larger than the margin that Trump has over Biden, on the presidential level. I think North Carolina, Cal Cunningham, he was looking so promising to win this seat, just a couple months ago. However, after all of his scandals, I think that, this state has reelected Tom Tillis at this point in time. I don't see a pathway to victory for Cal Cunningham, but things can definitely change. But the results, they're not as strong for Cunningham as they are for Joe Biden. Alaska, it's not going to go to Al Gross. Dan Sullivan is going to win. So that's basically, I don't know why they're not calling Alaska, all these major news networks, but Alaska is not going to go to the Democrats in any sort of way. But the Republicans will probably be at 50 seats. But remember, as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are now the president and vice president-elects of the United States, Kamala Harris will be able to basically just break all the ties. So a 50-50 Senate will be able to give Democrats essentially the majority, with Kamala Harris being that tiebreaker. So the state of Georgia, as well as the Georgia special election, these elections will have a profound impact on the country in the next 4 years. However, as of right now, the good news for the Democrats is that they have Mitt Romney, they have Lisa Murkowski, and they have Susan Collins, who has won re-election. So with these 3 people in the United States Senate, they are going to try to work with Joe Biden, unlike Mitch McConnell and all of those, Republicans who were unwilling to work with Barack Obama on anything. We've seen that, Mitt Romney, Susan Collins, and Lisa Murkowski, they're really the only senators, on the Republican side that is willing to work with the opposition party. So I think that Biden will be able to get some things passed, especially regarding COVID-19. His court picks, we'll see, but I don't think that court packing is going to be able to occur unless Joe Biden and the Democrats can win these 2 special elections in Georgia. The chances right now, they aren't the highest. Democrats do typically do worse in runoffs, but with Joe Biden right now flipping the state of Georgia, in my opinion, but we'll see what actually happens there. But Joe Biden is looking very, very likely to be able to flip the state of Georgia. I think that will definitely boost Democratic turnout in the state of Georgia, as well as the special election occurring there. As you can see, Joe Biden, according to the betting odds, he has a 93% chance of winning the state of Georgia. He has a 93% share. Donald Trump probably less than 7%. So these 2 elections, although David Perdue does lead over Jon Ossoff by a margin of less than 2%, which means that, there are voters who voted for David Perdue, Republican voters that probably voted for Republicans down ballot, everywhere, but did not vote for Donald Trump. So that is a problem that Trump had this election. Republicans were turning against them, but not turning against the party itself. So David Perdue right now is probably going to win his runoff, in my opinion. We'll see, unless Jon Ossoff can really, spark some sort of, huge amount of support. But definitely, the voters are there for Ossoff to win. But as long as David Perdue can also bring out those voters, I think that this race is pretty unlikely right now, but it's definitely going to be closer than it is right now, in my opinion. But we do have that Libertarian candidate, and those voters will probably vote for David Perdue, but we'll see. But in the Georgia special election, this election is much more complicated. We have Raphael Warnock against Kelly Loeffler. Basically, it was a 3-person race that Doug Collins was trying to unseat Kelly Loeffler, the Republican incumbent who took office just this year. I think she will be able to win a re-election just because of Raphael Warnock. He only won 32% of the vote. And, he might be able to get close, but I think that Kelly Loeffler will probably win, maybe, unless she is just really viewed as really unpopular, because as you can see, the Republicans even turned against her, although it's not surprising because she didn't win her seat, but we'll see. In these two races, I think the Republicans do have the edge here right now, but we'll see how everything comes out to be. And the polling was a little bit off in these races. I mean, Warnock was expected to win by 10-18%. It's not going to happen, so we'll see whether we can actually trust the polls in the future. I think that definitely we'll have to regard them when we take a look at making predictions, because otherwise you're just making blind guesses if you don't use any sort of data anywhere. Florida was just a huge mistake. It was a 6-7 point shift to the right of the polling average. Colorado, John Hickenlooper was able to win, flipping the seat, however, not a margin larger than Joe Biden's. Arizona has been called for Mark Kelly, although much smaller than we expected against Martha McSally. Mark Kelly still won, and now we have Kirsten Sinema and Kelly in the Senate, making it the first time in, I believe, 8 decades since the Republicans or the Democrats have been able to hold both seats in the state of Arizona. This is, of course, the home state of John McCain, who served here for 3 decades basically, as well as I don't remember, but basically Arizona has been pretty solidly Republican. However, Democrats have been able to make a lot of progress here in this state. The president has actually responded to that Biden win. Let's take a look at what he said. You can pause the video and take a look at this by yourself. But basically, all he said, he is basically saying that he is going to, sue. He's going to take legal action. And, he's saying that Biden is falsely posing as the winner. But really, up until now, Joe Biden, basically up until his speech, which he is probably going to say that he has won the election, because he has. But he has never said that he has won this election. He said that he thinks that he's going to win, but he's never said that he has actually won. Donald Trump, on the other hand, the first night he said that he's won this election. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think that Donald Trump, he will put up a fight. He will definitely go to court and do all of that. But if they're not going to work out for him, I can promise you guys that Donald Trump is not going to win this election. He's not going to be in the White House after January 20th. But President Trump, I think that he is going to, respect that, smooth transition of power. He is going to leave the White House, although he's not going to be happy about it. He is going to leave in the end. He might say that, it's a fraud, but he's going to leave. He is not going to stay in the White House, and wait to be, just taken out of there. So Trump is going to, he's going to give Joe Biden the presidency, but he is never going to admit defeat, in my opinion. He's not going to call Joe Biden. He's not going to make a concession speech. But, I think that we all know that right by now. But Joe Biden is going to win this election. He has crossed that 270 electoral vote threshold. He's probably going to win Arizona as well as the state of Georgia. That would put the former vice president up at 306 electoral votes. So a weaker victory than expected. I actually gave Joe Biden North Carolina and Florida, but not the state of Georgia. I thought that Trump would be able to narrowly win this state, just because Georgia has, historically been more to the right than, North Carolina and Florida. However, things have definitely changed. This election, Democrats have spent so much money there. I think that if they also spend the same amount of time, putting Barack Obama in North Carolina to campaign for Biden, I think that state would have also definitely been, possible for a Biden pickup. Florida, he did not have the Latino support, which is very disappointing. He lost the state by around 3-4% right now, worse than Clinton's 1.2% margin, but she had a lot more support from those Cuban Americans. So that definitely, ended Biden's chances there, but North Carolina is still in play. We'll see. But this is the current 2020 electoral map as of right now. Biden 306, Trump 217. With Trump not flipping a single state, Joe Biden flips 5 historic states. Rebuilding the blue wall, flipping Arizona and Georgia for the first time in decades, and then the 2nd District of Nebraska, also a flip in favor of the Democratic Party. So that'll be it for this video. Make sure you join my Discord server if you have not. The link is at the very top of the description below. We'll be updating you guys on the election, everything that comes out of there, pretty frequently on there. So make sure you join that if you have not. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Leave a comment down below, expressing your thoughts on all that has happened. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see all of you guys in the next video.